SSA No Glove National Championship. We have a winter bracket championship game for you between the Fat Kids and Diesels. Diesel's been a little bit of a surprise team. They've been playing very solid softball the entire weekend. The other winter bracket semifinal is the Dirty 38s, which we showed you earlier today, and they are playing Los Barachos Softball Club. Leading off, Jason Camarillo, and I'll run by some rules as we get started here. Jason swings a little fly ball into left, and that's going to be caught out there by Pat Moran, who also runs the Diesel squad. And it brings up Tom Boyle, who's been off to a red-hot start in the Chicago Summer Series with the Fat Kids. Tom shifted, I think, with the amount of runs and at-bats he's accumulating here. He was just shy of being on the leaderboard. And he swings and he hits it fair right inside the line. Takes the big turn, going to try to stretch it, and he is out. Now, you young kids, you can rewind the tape. He did not hit the inside of the bag, took a real big wide turn, cost him about 4 or 5 steps, just enough. Good strong throw by Pat Moran right on the money, and they get the out at second. You'd score that as a single, out trying to stretch it into 2, and here's Anthony Mysek. Again, this is Chicago's 16-inch style softball if you're checking us out, and you're seeing it correctly. We do not wear gloves. You can see the wind rippling across first base coach's jersey here. Wind's been blowing in on this diamond all day, so we'll see how it affects the Fat Kids who've been scoring a lot of runs this weekend. So during the half inning, we'll give you a little rundown of the rules for those of you unfamiliar. And there's a 2-out walk. Again, I don't believe Diesels has played on this diamond today, so it does take your pitcher a little while to get acclimated to the fact that the wind is pushing your ball all over the place. Here's Matt Peckus. And there he grabs a strike. Love to see teams like the Diesels. They get into an event like this, and they're having some success this weekend. They did beat 10 Deep, and 10 Deep just lost a heartbreaker, broadcast by George Bliss to Goodwood. High pop-up, shortstop camps and makes it. So for those of you new to the game, it's a 16-inch clincher. It is not a mush ball. It's pretty firm. It'll maintain its consistency. 60 feet on the bases. Can lead off, but you can't steal. Pitcher gets a drag step since we're playing no glove. 1 step right back or left. 2 fakes or hesitation. 3rd arm action must be to deliver the ball home. A throw or a fake to a base is considered one of your fakes or hesitations. 6-12 on the arc, open count. We use heavy bats, 38 ounces. They can be 34 inches long, 2 1/4 on the barrel. 305 to dead center field, 300 down the lines. Anything that bounces over, through, or under a fence will be a ground rule triple. So you're up to speed here. And we're in the bottom of the first, no score. Fat Kids went 1-2-3 despite the single. It's Tom Boyle, the shortstop, got thrown out trying to stretch a ball right over the base into a double. So here's Eric Thies, be followed by Billy Stewart and Sean Temple. And a little backstory on Pat Moran, the manager of this Diesels team. There's a fly ball toward the gap. It actually got blown more toward right field, and the right fielder was right on the spot to make the catch, Jesse Rosado. So Pat Moran's father was Terry Moran. Terry died of it at a young age, and they've been running the Terry Moran tournament. He's kept it alive. And I remember when he was a young pup, and there's a little pop-up, and Anthony Misek tippy-toes toward the fence, and you could see the wind was trying to push that up against the fence. See the trees there in the background really blowing. It's been blowing in all day, but we're at that time of the day here in the Chicagoland area where we get a little heating. There's a cool front going to move in here. It's close to 90 all day out here. It's going to struggle to get into the 70s tomorrow. So this time of the day, we usually have a lot of wind out here. Those of you who have watched some of our broadcasts from Melrose Park know that. So Billy Stewart swings and hits a little flare, and that's going to fade foul. So I remember when Pat Moran was just a young kid, he used to be in the Windy City dugout quite a bit. So he had ties to that group. He's grown up to be a fine young man. So there's a swing, and that ball's going to drop in front of Rosado. Take the turn, but stay at first. So again, this is going to be one of those games where here's Eric Sneff. Eric did play on Mudville. And Eric, a little overhand cut. That's going to drop with 2 outs. The runner will get to third. Brandon Molina, the center fielder, just flips it into 2. So a little 2-out something brewing. It brings up Jeremy Valinsky, the catcher. So the Diesels trying to grab an early lead here, need a 2-out hit, and there's an overhand cut. Now cutters prefer the wind blowing out because it forces the outfielders to play deep. Wind blowing in, we saw in that bankroll 30-38 game that a lot of the cutters were trying to cut, and because a lot of them get that top spin on the ball because they hit down on it. The wind was kind of keeping it up in the air a little bit. Again, we are playing open count today. Still a lot of people in the ballpark because it's still relatively early at 5:30. And there's a little ground ball to second, and Alberto Magana makes the play. So a little mini threat goes by the board as Jeremy can't drive the run in. And we'll head to the top of the second. No score here. Again, we are at Olympic Park in Schaumburg for this event. And we'll take care of some business. If you're looking to put video gaming into your establishment, go with Gold Rush. They're the gold standard. You can call them at 630-307-0500. You can email them at inquiries at Gold Rush Gaming. Tell them you love the SSA and that's where you heard about them. And please gamble responsibly. So here comes Alberto leading off. Will be followed by Nico Rainier and then Brandon Molina. So we'll see how the fat kids adjust to this wind blowing in. And there's a high fly ball. Pat Moran gets there, can't make the catch, and it's a foul ball. So he got there okay. He did something weird there. I think he was in between. He didn't know if he wanted to go down or just run through the catch. He ended up going down to his knees, and as he hit the ground, he dropped the ball. So the Diesels catch the break that ball is foul. Otherwise, it would have been an easy double. And you can see the shadows there from the pitcher. And there's a little chopper to short. Nicely done there First time I've seen the shortstop on the Diesels, and that's Sean Temple. I like what he did there. He came in, read the hop, got a nice belt tie hop, and threw in a fluid motion. So here's Nico Rainier, the extra hitter. And he goes the other way, and that's over Eric's head. And that ball just blew away from him. That's going to be at least 3. And now they cut and they throw the ball into home. High throw, nice job by the catcher, Valinsky. So that's a good example, little inside-out swing there. He got it up in the air, and that wind was kind of pushing it toward the foul line. 1-out triple for Brandon Molina. Fat Kid's in a good position here to take an early lead. And I think Eric was a little surprised that that ball carried as well as it did. But it definitely had a lot of English on it with that inside-out swing. So Molina here trying to drive in the first run of the ball game. And that's a sky-high pop-up, and Temple came in and took charge. And that's a good job there because the pitcher was trying to backpedal and turn around almost. Temple had a clear line of sight, and he makes the play. And that's going to bring up the left fielder, Emilio Engel. No score here, bottom of the second. And this is what I always talk about with the wind blowing in. If runs are going to be tough to get, you don't want to strand a leadoff triple or a 1-out triple. And Engel swings, and that ball almost carried away from the center fielder. And again, he hit down on that ball. It had that underspin, and that wind will keep the ball up. Good job by the center fielder as he tracked it all the way, Eric Thies. We head to the bottom of the second, no score. So with 1 out, they get to triple and they don't score them. And that's what we talked about. Sometimes teams that free swing, they get into these situations, wind blowing in, maybe the first time all weekend. I'm not sure which diamond they played on yesterday. But that wind now, you got to adjust your thought process. So let's keep that in the back of our minds, depending on how this game turns out, as that was definitely a missed opportunity. So speaking of Pat Moran, he'll be leading off, and then Grant Kerr and Charlie Glimmer. Of course, Luke Glimmer, part of the team here. Looks like he helps Pat out quite a bit. I don't know if I saw Pat's wife out here or not. She's normally out and helps him. Little slow bouncer, long throw across by Nick Jones. And Noach had to come off the bag. Good sportsmanship as he had to jam that tag on Pat and wanted to make sure he was okay. So here's Grant Kerr, excuse me. Of course, Grant, you might remember him. I believe he was a good program guy. And he taps it back to Angelo Feliciano. Of course, it could be a different Grant Kerr. But I believe they had a Kerr on that team. So here's Charlie. Two up, two down here. And there's a little slow roller. Jason Camarillo handles it. And at the end of 2 complete, we got no score. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Keep showing up and nobody scores runs. So defense will become more and more important as this game goes on. And Diesel's already wiggled off a massive hook. And if you were going to handicap it coming in, you would say that the Fat Kids were the favorite. So as the game goes on, the pressure tends to build more on the favored team. And if you're the Diesels, what you're trying to do is stay in the game. You'd like to play with a lead, but as long as you're up or down a run, you feel like the game is there for you. So it's going to be Nick Jones, Angelo Feliciano, and Jesse Rosado. And Angelo looks like he's locked in this weekend. He's not giving up any runs, and if you didn't catch any of the updates, Angelo threw a perfect game last night against the Stampers. So Nick Jones, another one of my former players, and Nick hits a little knuckleball toward the gap, leadoff single. And that's really what you need to do when the wind's howling in. And he's over here telling Nico that ball was knuckling all the way out there. And when it's windy like this and you're an outfielder, even a routine ball that's knuckling in this wind is tough. And here's Angelo. Angelo will give himself up quite a bit. So he will slap the ball the other way. And usually it's a planned thing. And there he just, and throw back double play. So Angelo trying to move the runner, hit it too fat, soft line drive. Nice, quick, accurate throw by the second baseman, Charlie Gimler. And they get the double play. Good job by the first baseman. A lot of traffic. Made the catch. And that's going to bring up Jesse Rosado, the right fielder. So the Diesels turn in the first double play and outstanding. And Jesse just slaps it up the middle, base hit. And that's going to bring up the top of the order with Jason Camarillo. And they will hit and run with Jason as well. And you can see he's trying to give them a heads up. So Jesse Rosado may be taken off, and there he goes. But see, I don't necessarily, and we're going to head to the bottom of the third, no score. I like to hit and run, but I like my hitters to settle in a little bit. And there they had it on, and Jason got a pitch he really couldn't do anything with. He ended up rolling that top hand over and hit a routine ground ball. You know, I prefer my hitters to try to, you know, maybe work the count a little bit, see if the other guy can throw a strike. And then at that point, I think you're in a... At that point, it's a little different. So we got another tight one, no score here. Bottom of 3. And there's a ground ball knocked down by Angelo for out number 1. So 1 out here. So far, both teams been on point defensively. And there's a little ground ball. Camarillo in time for out number 2. So here comes the pitcher. So Patty O'Shea and Rod and Bogner ground out. Here's the pitcher, Vince Delio, with Eric Thies on deck. And Delio goes big. Rosado got a beat on it. 1-2-3. So we're going to head to the top of the fourth, no score. And again, I think if you're the Diesels, this script is playing out well for you. You do have the hammer, and you're right in a ball game where the other guy's a favorite. So sometimes teams will get frustrated because they're not scoring runs, but realistically, defense wins you a lot of games. And I know Pat Moran, before the game started, went down a little checklist of what they've been doing, encouraging his guys to continue. And part of that list was keep playing defense. So here's Tommy Boyle. And we interviewed Tommy, very high energy guy, in one of our player spotlights. He's got a very good average, just didn't have enough at-bats, but I would venture to guess the way the Fat Kids have been hitting that he'll get there, be back on the leaderboard. Pat Moran makes a catch, and the Malouk lives. Oh, you're very welcome, John. So we got somebody chiming in on YouTube. Of course, we prefer that you watch on Facebook, but wherever you pick up an SSA broadcast is a good thing. So here comes Anthony Mysek. Of course, Google might be a little easier to put on your big screen. So here's Mysek, 1 out, nobody on here, top of the fourth. And Notes has got a pretty good drive swing to right center when he wants it. And he does get that inside-out action. And it does feel like anything hit to center to the right field line is going to get pushed. And he pulls the ball. Pat Moran, that wind is really going to knock that ball down. And again, we commented, we did the bankroll Dirty 38 game. You can see in the outfield there, it's wide open. There's absolutely nothing to stop the wind once it gets over that strand of trees to just rip through here. So 2 outs, Matt Peckus. So we're approaching the halfway point in the game, 0-0. How's it? Really? My monkey, how does that look on a 77-inch TV? That's a big TV, man. So Matt Peckus going to try to get something started. So errors and walks are the things that can disrupt you. And Matt just sat back and drilled it down the line. Peckus is going to go. And he just gets in there. Again, an outfielder throwing it in will have the wind to his back. Moran's showing you he's got a strong, accurate arm, put it right on the money. But Peckus running hard out of the box gets there. So here's Alberto, 2 outs, and the potential first run, little ground ball over to Sean Temple in time. Yeah, Sean's a very calm, smooth shortstop again. Played the hop right. And we're halfway through, no score. Again, we are live from Olympic Park, Schaumburg, Illinois, northwest suburb of the city of Chicago for the 2024 Tom Eggs Czarnik Class A No Glove National Championship Tournament. Underwritten by the Czarnik family in memory of Tom Eggs Czarnik, who was certainly one of the giants in the game. And Ray and the entire family's been fantastic. I'd like to thank Kevin O'Donnell and Ronnie Zeman and their grounds crew. We've done a tremendous job yesterday making sure we were ready to go, and it turned into just a delightful night for 16-inch softball. So right at the top of the Diesel lineup now, Eric Thies, Billy Stewart, and Sean Temple. And there's a little high pop-up, Boyle calling it, and you can see the wind just kept pushing it over. 1 out. I remember a good friend of mine, Danny Stramalia, just one of the finest gentlemen I've ever met in 16-inch softball. And there's a little knuckleball, and that's going to drop. Base hit, base runner, Billy Stewart. And it's going to bring up Sean Temple. Had a team, Danny Stramalia. Let's see what Sean Temple does here, and I'll finish that thought. He put an A team in the scrubs, which has lately been Uncle Slam's, into the Carroll Stream Glove A National Championship tournament. He asked me to come run the team, so I took a weekend off, and there's a line drive. Boyle snags it, throw back, not in time. Tom Boyle showing you he's got some hops. Snagged what looked like was going to be a base hit. Robs Temple of a hit. Brings up Eric Sneff. And Sneff a little cut base hit. So little 2-out rally here. First and second, 2 outs. Brings up Jeremy Valinsky. And you see Eric is saying, let's be aggressive. 2 outs here, the runner will be going. Base hit here, it could break this 0-0 tie. No, Carlos hasn't given it up. It was always his idea. And he had no issue with it being renamed or a name put on it. And those of you who remember, the original tournament didn't have an underwriter. So Carlos is still involved with the event. And one of the things that Pat Moran mentioned pregame. And there's a fly ball. Rosado dancing, dropped the ball. He dropped the ball. 1 run is in. Sneff will stop at third. Now the throw gets away. Sneff thought about it, and now Peckus does the right thing. We told you defense would be important, and I got to tell you, with 2 outs, that ball was in the air a long time. So I don't know if maybe Eric thought it was going to be an out, but they break the tie. Brings up Pat Moran now. Second and third. Anytime you need a clarification, Nathaniel, you'll know I'll tell you what's happening. So here's Pat Moran. And Pat strokes it toward the gap. 2 runs are going to score. And Diesel takes advantage of the error, and they put another deuce up there, and they go up 3-0.
Hey, let's go!
So again, we told you defense was going to be a big part of this ball game. We saw the first crack by either team now. Brings up Grant Kerr. Molly, look at him. I don't think he is the Grant Kerr that played with good program, but you never know. Little ground ball to Alberto. But in the inning, they put a pair up. Did you play for good program? Okay, it is. It is my guy. I thought so. All right. Sometimes you don't see a guy for a couple of years and you wonder. So getting back to Somalia, I'm managing the scrub team. Danny wanted to pitch that tournament, so he didn't want to have to worry about managing, and Danny played for me on Mudville and was very generous with his time and sponsorship money, so I told him I would do it. and we were playing Top Fleet, who was one of the teams that everybody thought that year would have a good shot. And we get late in the game, and the scrub guys were all tight. Top Fleet was definitely favored. And here's Nico Rainier with Brandon Molina on deck. And I looked at him, and I start laughing. It's like the bottom of the fifth or whatever. And I'm like, what are you guys so tight for, man? And there's a hammer lock, and Pat Moran makes the catch. That ball was sinking on him. He robs Rainier. Pat Moran, he looked like a deer just standing up for the first time the way the ball was dancing. And he makes the catch. And I say, loosen up, fellas. It's a tie game. We're playing one of the best 8 teams. We're right where we want to be. They loosened up. We scored a few runs and ended up winning the ball game. There's a high pop-up, top of the fifth, Brandon, and that's an out. 2 outs. And the Diesel team got a little pep in their step after that last inning. The big play was 1-0. The big play, Jesse Rosado had a little trouble with a fly ball. And now if I'm the Diesels, the Fat Kids have been known sometimes. They got a couple of guys that'll try to throw you off your game. You got to avoid that and just concentrate on playing softball. So here's Emilio Angle. And Emilio's a deceptive player. He's got a lot more pop than people think. But with the wind blowing in, center fielder step back comes in. 1-2-3. We head to the bottom of the fifth. 3-1 Diesel. And this would certainly be an upset. And by the way, in that game, when we were playing Top Fleet, a very young Justin Smykowski was playing short center in that game. And I think he short-hopped the fence for a 2 or a 3-run homer in that game. Carroll Stream, 300 feet fences. So that's what you try to do with a young team. You just don't want them to let the moment be too big for them. And sometimes just a little comment can loosen them up and get them back into, it's kind of like Hoosiers, you know, when that Gene Hackman measures the rim. So we got a good one here. Here come the Diesels. If I'm not mistaken, this might be Patty O'Shea. And Patty grounds the ball to Camarillo, and he makes the play. Noach wasn't on the bag right away, but he got the foot over there in plenty of time. So again, the Fat Kids had an opportunity early in the game. The 1-out triple, they couldn't score. And we got a tent blown around over there. And there's a high fly ball. And Brandon Molina. Brandon is a real good outfielder. Very smart. He's got a very good arm. Seems like he's a quiet kid. And he hits a lot more than people think. Bottom of the sixth, Joel. Or fifth, I think. Actually, I'll find out now. So this looks like it might be a pinch hitter. Looks like that's Luke Gimmer. And there's a little foul the other way. Wind knocking it down, but they make the play. So they can't score. I believe we're heading to the top of the sixth. Eric, top of six? Top of six. Eric says, did you see me miss second? And you know, that's what your first baseman's job is. When there's no trail runner, you follow that guy and you make sure he tags the bag. With one umpire, it becomes a little harder to keep track of that. But It happens. I tell that story all the time when we were in Bourbon A in '02, and I hit a little roller. Second baseman came in, threw it away. I'm not saying I kicked the ball, but it did roll down the right field line. And as I'm getting to second, doing what I'm supposed to do, which is pick up my third base coach, standing there like a tree. So I'm trying to find the ball, trying to run. I missed second base by probably a good 10 inches. I get to third, and I look out. That's back in the day when they had 4 umpires. And I look back at the second base umpire, got his arms crossed, Mr. Brown out of Arizona. And he's just shaking his head, almost imperceptibly, but he saw it. We were playing the Storm, but they didn't catch it. So after the pitcher threw the next pitch, here's Nick Jones. Took my hat off, wiped my brow. My third base coach said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I missed second base by 10 inches. He says, "Why'd you do that?" And Nick swings a little soft roller. They're going to let that go, and it's going to spin foul. I said, "Because you were standing there like a tree and not telling me what to do." Next guy hit the fly ball. At that point, we tied the game at 2. I ended up winning the national championship 3-2 in the if game, and that's an example where nobody on the Storm caught it. Nick Jones knew life after the spinner. So top of 6 here, 3-0 Diesels. And Nick Jones, a bullet to the short center, stayed right with it. You can see where the shadows are. There's going to be certain throws. For example, a right fielder thrown to third base could be an issue, or even to second. And a catcher trying to take a throw from the outfield could be an issue too. Here's Angelo Feliciano. And it's always interesting. And Angelo slashes a base hit toward the gap. We are in the top of the 6th. Let's see if they let Angie run here, if they got anybody on the bench to pinch run. A lot of times they'll bring Ariel Hernandez in to run. And right now they're telling the coaching staff it doesn't matter, but it always matters. So here's Jesse Rosado. And he slaps it fair down the left field line, so a little something going on here. Jesse took a low pitch and just kind of swept it down that left field line. So 1 out now in the top of the lineup here with Jason Camarillo. Now Jason does like to punch the ball the other way, and the pitcher just made a mistake. He's got a short center on the right field side, and he stepped to the right field side. Jason's got a huge hole up the middle. Jason's going to take some pitches here. 3-0. So Jason Camarillo, and he was talking to the pitcher the entire time. And it brings up the red-hot Tom Boyle. 1 out here. If you're Diesels, you're hoping the pitcher's best friend shows up. But through a lot of what I've seen of Tommy Boyle, he's very good at elevating the ball. I don't really see him hitting a lot of ground balls. And home plate really jumping around now on Vince Delio, the pitcher. And there's a base hit. It's going to be 3-2. Just like that, Tom Boyle, red hot, gets a base hit. And now all of a sudden here, Fat kids have punched their way back in. Jason's not the fastest runner. They will have to play a little deeper for Noach. But Noach hits the ball hard. And it looks like Jason's trying to tell him to go the other way. Hit the ball to right. And right now, Delio's problem is home plate's jumping around. He's falling behind all these hitters. As he's kind of lost the feel, and now he grabs a strike. He's got a big hole up the middle. Short center, and there's a little knuckleball. Pat Moran makes the catch, and Jason Camarillo cannot tag. So I'm not sure why they didn't run for Jason. Brings up Matt Peckus, so 2 outs here. Fat Kid's right back in the ball game here. Difference in the ball game. Drop fly ball in right, which allowed 2 runs to score for Diesels. And of course the game would have been tied, except the Fat Kids failed to score a runner from third with less than 2. So again, Delio falling behind, grabs a strike there. But you can see when a pitcher struggles, they tend to become robotic. And then now it's 3-1. And that's ball 4. So now a base hit. Tom Boyle, a little quicker than Jason, moves into scoring. 2 walks in this inning. Sean Temple going to try to calm his pitcher down. So we told you walks and errors when we get into these types of games become crucial. And there have been 2 walks in this inning, 1 to Camarillo. And now Ariel Hernandez is going to come in and run for Matt Peckus. And here's Alberto. There's a strike. And a lot of hitters and there's a hard ground ball, and it sneaks through, and the Fat Kids will take the lead. So the 2 walks certainly playing a big part in this ball game, as Camarillo scored, and the 1 walk pushed another runner into scoring position. And it brings up Nico Rainier. And again, Delio falling behind now to a hitter, and that just could be the pressure building. And there's a base hit. Hernandez going to try it. Strong throw. He's going to be out. Pat Moran threw a bullet from left field to cut down the pinch runner. Right on the money. That's one of the best throws I've seen from an outfielder. We had bottom 6, 4-3 Fat Kids. It's not a bad send. It was a 1-hop line drive by Nico Rainier. Pat Moran got a good bounce off the grass and threw an absolute BB to the plate. So they re-enter all of the pinch runner, or excuse me, Peckus, who was pinch ran for. So we're in the bottom of the sixth. Diesel's still got 2 at-bats here. And it looks like they're hitting for Vince Delio with Eric Thies in the top of the lineup waiting. And there's a ball as that ball hits the plate. And there's a little chopper. Nick Jones snagged it in front of Boyle and made the play for out number 1. For a split second, I thought maybe Nick was going to have trouble. He had his hands in a weird spot, but he secured it. And had he not cut that off, would have been a tricky play for Boyle. Here's Thies, and he skies one. And Rosado makes that catch. Brings up Billy Stewart with Sean Temple on deck. So the Diesels played a very good game. The walk certainly hurt them. And the Fat Kids actually stopped hitting some fly balls there and found some holes, and they're back in front, and there's a base hit. So with 2 outs, Billy Stewart gets on and brings up Sean Temple, got a big hit in that 3-run inning. So 2 outs here, tying run at first. And they're not playing deep. He's got a lot of room down the right field line. It's Jesse Rosado is way off of it. Takes that pitch a little deep. And calls that a ball, apparently. Grabs a strike now, 2-2. 2-2. Base runner wanted to know. Sean Temple, little ground ball. Camarillo bobbles it. Safe at second. I think Jason didn't know whether he wanted to catch and throw to first or try to catch and reach back to touch the bag. And that's going to bring up Eric Sneff. Now Eric dumped the ball over the infield. Looks like Tom Boyle's moved up a little bit at short. He does have the force out at second or third. And now they're going to pinch run for Billy Stewart. But they're so tight. If Eric just dumps a hit in front of the outfield, which will be tough, he doesn't have a lot of space. It's going to be tough for somebody to score. And Sneff, he did try to cut. Long run, won't get there, but it's foul. Now, he would have scored there because the ball, if it's fair, would have been on the line. But I think if that's a fair ball, the left fielder is going to get to that. And Eric does have a little pop. Back in the day, a lot of these guys had cut and throw it in front of you, and as soon as you moved in, they juice something into a gap. Again, he does have a huge amount of space down the right field line. And there's a little ground ball, and Camarillo can't make the play. And we're all tied up. He hit it right between third and short. Tommy Boyle might have been able to get to it if it wasn't deflected, but I don't think he would have had a play anywhere. And so with 2 outs, here's Jeremy Valinsky, lead run, standing at third base. So the Diesels, and there's a hard ball, just fouled down the left field line. He got it just over Nick Jones, but it didn't stay fair. And that would have given Diesels a 5-4 lead. These two teams are trading jabs. So we are in the bottom of the 6th inning here. And now he swings Camarillo. They're saying no on the catch, but he gets the out. But in the inning, so we head to a 7th inning here. We're all tied at 4. So Fat Kids looked like they had turned the momentum. Diesels had different ideas. So we're going to take a break so I can grab a swig of water. We'll be right back for this finish of this terrific ball game we're watching. And we're back, folks, live from Olympic Park, Schaumburg, Illinois, 2024. SSA Tom Egg Czarnik, Class A, No Glove National Championship. Top of the 7th, we're all tied. Brandon Molina leading off. So you can tell the Fat Kids, certainly after last inning, you expect them to be taking some pitches. He grabs strike 2 there. Now he tries to go way up the ladder, way too high. I don't mind that because there's a little chopper over to Temple, and Sean Temple, another ball where he read the hop, charged, made the smooth throw. So here's Emilio Engel, top of the 7th here. Again, the big error hurt the Fat Kids in this game, and the 2 walks hurt Diesels. And there's a fly ball. Pat Moran in trouble if it's fair, but it drifts foul. We told you Emilio's got big pop. And into a cross breeze, he leaned on it pretty good, but the wind pushed it way foul. So Pat Moran turned and started to run, but you could tell he had no shot at getting to it.
Hey, outfield! Wheels here! Wheels here!
So Emilio Engel, had that ball landed, that could have been a solo home run pretty easily. So 2 strikes. Delio ahead in the count here. Let's see if he tries to go upstairs. He does. Little hammer job, and Sean Temple can't make the play that time. 1 hop shot up the middle. Temple showed you he's got great range, but when it hit his hands, he couldn't catch it clean. Turned and thrown. So the lead run on first base here for the Fat Kids for Nick Jones. Nick has a base hit in this game already. He had a little knuckleball into right center field. I'm always curious as how the guys try to kind of work the umpire. Sky high pop up to second. So 2 outs. Brings up Angelo Feliciano. They tried to hit and run last time he was up. Now Emilio can run. If I'm Fat Kids, I'm not too worried about that. I want Angelo to try to dump something down the right field line or just flip a single somewhere and let Emilio work. And then if there's a bobble or a bad throw, then you can maybe take a chance and have him score. And that's what he does. And there's Pat Moran. I think the short center cut into my view there, but Moran makes the catch, bottom of the 7th. Any kind of run will win the game for the Diesels. So this is the dream scenario when you're the underdog. Playing a team that's favored is to be bottom of the 7th, tied. And if you're a Diesel fan, this is where legends get made. And the Diesel fans are over here chit-chatting. They got a lot of fans sitting down the line here. So terrific ball game going on here. Last game I did went 8 innings. And this game is 3 outs away from doing the same. So it's Pat Moran, Grant Kerr, and Charlie Gimler. And Angelo's been around the block. He's been very calm. And there's a bullet not handled by Jones. Pat Moran is going to beat it out. So a little sinking line drive off to Nick Jones's right hand. He went down, just couldn't make the catch. Leadoff man on. Here's Grant Kerr. And there's a hit and run, and hits it in the air, and it drops. Grant Kerr almost hit it too hard. Jesse Rosado couldn't get there. Pat Moran slammed the brakes on, had a look of terror in his eye. Now you need Charlie here, needs to get him over. And there's a little ground ball. Winning run at third. Brings up Patty O'Shea with Ron Bogner on deck. They're going to end up walking. They're going to end up walking Patty, the short center. Again, there's only 1 out in this inning. They're looking at the book to see who did what, but looking at the book right here doesn't make a difference. And I'll tell you why, because he doesn't need to get a hit. And they're going to walk him, and that's the right thing to do. It doesn't matter what he did, hits, no hits, because a flyout maybe wins the game for you. And here's Ron Bogner coming up, and they're going to hit for him for the second time. And now the important thing, if you're Luke, is you can't be anxious, and you don't have to hit the ball 9,000 feet. Preferably hit a fly ball. The outfielder's got to move a step or two to his right or left. Base hit now. They all must advance a base. Fly ball, they can just stay where they're at. The only guy that's got to run is Moran. And you got to freeze on the liner here. Big moment here. And that pitch is a little outside. And he runs that ground ball. Again, you can see his front shoulder flew open. He's a little anxious in there. And he's fallen into that mindset, that trap of trying to really crush the ball. And a ground ball, unless it's hit right at somebody, Camarillo is well off the bag. So it looks like they're committed to coming home here on everything. And there's a fly ball. This is going to be close. Moran's going to try it. Throw to the plate. Save! Diesels pull the upset. They beat the Fat Kids. Moran, I think he just got a face full of dust. Diesels upset the Fat Kids 5-4. They walk them off in the bottom of the 7th. Holy cow. What a ball game. See, Pat, I don't know if he's got contacts, but he's going to have to rinse them off. Terrific game. The error cost the Fat Kids 2 runs. They left a guy at third. And the Diesels spring the upset. So we're basically done. This is the last time slot for today. We'll be back tomorrow with the conclusion. And Diesels find their way in the winter bracket championship game. And the 38s have just finished up against Los Borrachos. Not sure who won the ball game. Neither team looks overly excited. But a big win. There's my guy, Eric Sneff. The Diesels pull a big upset. We'll see if we can get Pat Moran.
Let's go.
And you can tell they're excited as all heck. I like this team. They're excited, but they're not overly swearing. So you can see Pat Moran was running around like a madman. Certainly the player of the game. Threw a guy out at home from deep left field. Scores the winning run. So the Diesels are moving on. They'll be in the winter bracket championship game tomorrow. So we're going to grab a few words with Pat Moran. I'd say you had a nice game. You threw a guy out, scored the winning run, and I see you're excited as heck, man. How's it feel?
Feels great. We're a young team, kind of trying to get our name out there. We're playing a couple park leagues. We did Cinco de Mayo and then this tournament. We've been really excited, as you can kind of tell. We've got a couple good wins now. Fat Kids, obviously a great team. They've been making a lot of noise all year. So we were really excited for this, and yeah, I think it showed. Our pitcher, Vince DeLeo, pitched a great game. Wind was blowing in, but he did a great job. We talked before the game about how it was going to take a total team effort, and that's kind of what got it done. We stuck together. They had some momentum there in the sticks. Didn't let it phase us. We stuck together, and guys coming off the bench left and right, as you saw. But yeah, just really proud of the guys. Really, really proud. Making some noise.
There you go, Pat Moran. Nice job. Huh? Yeah.
Terry Moran tournament, July 13th, Big 30th. Hope to see you all there.
There you go. We mentioned that during the broadcast, how he runs that event. And Pat, known him since he was just a young pup. Fine gentleman. And the Diesels, they'll be partying tonight. Hopefully not too much. They got a little more work to do. So on behalf of the SSA, this is Gio saying we'll see you all later. We hope you enjoyed